Shalom, Rabbi Herman, and thank you very much for having me again on the OU conference. It's a big honor, it's a big schus for such a chashuv audience. I do appreciate the invitation, and we'll start with some divrei Torah on the Parshat. Parshat Yitro has, right in the beginning, a question that when I saw it, I didn't understand how to be able to comprehend such a thing. It says in the beginning that Yitro heard about all the miracles that Am Yisrael occurred, the Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, Amalek, Milchemet Amalek, and he came. He came to the desert. Now it says here in Rashi that he came to the desert. We know that Am Yisrael were in the desert. Why do we need to say openly in the Torah that he came to the desert? So Rashi says the following, and I'll read Rashi and I'll translate it. He says, אלא בשבחו של יתרו דיבר הכתוב שהיה יושב בכבודו של עולם ונדבו ליבו לצאת אל המדבר מקומתו ולשמוע דברי תורה. Rashi tells us the following. We come in to say the praise of Yitro, that he was sitting in the highest place. He had everything at the place that he was living, his dwelling place. He probably had a castle over there, he had a position, he was very much respected, he had everything that needed. B'chvodo shel olam, that's the Lashon Rashi uses. And his heart told him, go to the desert in order to hear divrei Torah. Why did he come to the desert? Lishmoa divrei Torah. He left everything, he left all this glory in order to hear divrei Torah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just on a note, I just want to mention the fact that he went to the desert to learn Torah, to hear divrei Torah, is a very important thing, because Chazal tell us that Torah is only acquired if a person makes himself as a desert, which means a person needs to try to get out and get away from all the pleasures of the world when he goes to learn Torah. If you learn Torah while having all the pleasures of the world, you can't really acquire the essence of Torah. Really elevating yourself in Torah requires you to completely put yourself into the learning. And that means you get out of all the pleasures of the world. You don't try to seek those pleasures. But that's on the side note. He came down in order to hear the Torah. And the very next thing that it says, as soon as he gets to the desert, he meets Moshe Rabbeinu greets him, kisses him, and right away, right after that, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu starts telling him about what happened in Mitzrayim and in Paro, and all the things that occurred to Am Yisrael on the road. Why did he say that? Rashi tells us. Interesting Rashi says the reason he said it was limshoch et libo lekarvo laTorah. The purpose was in order to bring him close to Torah, to do kiruv to Torah. And I was just wondering, I don't understand. He came special in order to hear divrei Torah. Why does he need kiruv? He needs kiruv. He came, he left everything. He left the glory that he had, all the richness that he had, all the things that he had. He came down to hear divrei Torah, and you need now to be mekarev him to the Torah. That's very interesting. So I thought about two understanding to try to figure this out. One is that maybe that the Moshe Rabbeinu wants to deliver this message that the Gemara says in Brachot, Lamed Bet Amud Bet. The Gemara says over there, Arba'a dvarim tzrichim chizuk. 4 things require a person to strengthen himself consistently. One of the things is Torah, which means although you come to learn Torah, sometimes you hear a beautiful thing about Torah and you want to come to yeshiva and you put yourself into the learning, but it doesn't mean that now everything is going to go smoothly. The Yetzer Hara is going to come and tell you the next day, go back home, sleep better, eat better, don't worry, don't go to learn today, don't go to the shir, don't go to the daf yomi today. Be more lax. Comes the Torah and says over here, no, Moshe Rabbeinu was delivering the message that you need to be mechazik in Torah every single time. He was mechazik him lekarvo ledivrei Torah. That's one thing, but I thought about a better answer. And that is, some people, all their life, all they do is they go to lectures. They go to one lecture this night, and the next night they go to a lecture, and they sit down and they're hearing lectures, but they never get involved in the learning. They never take a piece of Gemara and try to figure it out with a chavrusa. but rather the most they'll do is they'll hear a shiur of Gemara Daf Yomi, but they'll never try to put themselves into it. Over here, I think that's what Yitro was all about. Yitro, it says over here, Vayishma Yitro. Yitro heard. He was about hearing. And right away it says that he came lishmoa divrei Torah. He came to hear Torah. It's different when you just come to hear. You hear divrei Torah. That's not still. It doesn't make you a ben Torah yet. It doesn't make you involved in the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was bringing him to the next level, lekarvo la Torah, to be a ben Torah, to be involved in Torah, to live a life of Torah, not only to hear divrei Torah. That's a very important lesson for us. In order for a person to change the way he is, somebody asked me yesterday for an example. I told him, I learned in the Mir Shiva for many years, and I remember Shmuel Birnbaum, Gadol Ador, he was a Rosh Yeshiva, and whenever he gave a shiur, you can see that the whole Torah was talking, the entire Torah was talking. It was a different delivery. And then after he passed away, people tried to say his words, sometimes write it here, write it there. It was missing the essence. It was missing the whole Torah back that he had when he delivered the message. It's different to hear Divrei Torah than to live Torah. And I think that is the message that the Pasuk over here and Rashi comes to teach us with Moshe Rabbeinu coming to Yitro and being mekarev him to the Torah. Forget about listening. Now we're going to learn, we're going to dwell, we're going to sit, and we're going to elevate ourselves to be Bnei Torah. We're going to proceed with Tehillim 20, Kaf. למנצח מזמור לדוד יענך אדוני ביום צרה, ישגבך השם אלוהיך